Check, 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 check. How's everybody doing? Looks like we're live. Is anybody out there yet? Tell me how the sound is coming through and the picture and everything. Looks like we got about 3 or 4 people sitting there, so I'm just waiting for somebody to type in and say something. From what I can tell on my screen, my sound is registering, so I think that we've got our sound working and hopefully the video working as well. So I'm not seeing any thumbs up yet. Click the thumbs up if you're just tuning in to join us for tonight's live stream. We've got a dozen people or so tuning in right now, checking out what's going on, and I'm expecting maybe we'll have about the same amount of crowd as we usually do. We generally hit around we plateau around 100, 120 people at a time on here checking us out. I have no idea. It doesn't really give us a stat. Hi, Paul. Doesn't really give us a stat as far as the actual numbers of people that tuned in, just numbers of people that are tuning in at this time, and so it's hard to gauge how many people actually watched, but we got a few people tuning in. I got KJ Snyder says sounds good, greetings from Minnesota. Hey, how's it going in Minnesota there? You guys are finally getting some decent weather. I think just you're kind of like us here in Canada. Winter seems to go on forever, but the last month and a half or so we've been pretty good up here, so I'm sure you've been good there too. We've got Jixer 53 thin set under backer board, yes or no? I've done it both ways. Preferably, personally, I would add thin set under your backer board, just because if you don't get enough screws or you don't get everything down tight, you're going to get a little bit of squishiness and a little bit of movement, and we all know that is bad for tile. So if you're going to be using backer board, I would definitely thin set it as well as use some screws. Excuse me. I'm actually a big user of the uncoupling membranes now myself. I don't really use backer board anymore, but if you do, I would thin set it. Gerson Carrillo gives me the old wave. Hey, Gerson. Nick, hi, Shannon. Hi, Nick. Tacoma says hi from New Jersey. Hey, back at you, Tacoma. We got Jesse from Houston. We got Jameson Dahl says good evening. Hi, Jameson. Garson from Nort. I don't even know where that is. Sorry, Garson. Nort. I'm not familiar with that. I don't even know if that's the US or where that is. So let's see. We got another question here. We got Rails 321. Your garage door and garage door opener videos saved my life last weekend. Keep up the great work. Well, I'm glad that you were able to use those. You obviously were installing or changing something out there. So that's good. I'm glad to see that. Jeremy, I know you told us you own a smaller construction company. Can you give us some tips and advice for newer companies trying to stay steady with work and getting more work? Well, I'm definitely on the smaller side. I'm a one-man crew. I've got right now my son's giving me a hand when I need it, and I do have a few people I can call on at certain times when I need some extra muscle or something like that. But for the most part, I've kept it really simple. I probably do bigger jobs than most single guys do in their companies, but I just like the variety, so I try to take on a few different things. Like that garage build, that's a big project for one person, but like I said, I had the help to give me a hand to get that up and going when I needed to stand walls and stuff. Starting out as a new company, all I can say really is if you do things bad word of mouth passes way quicker than good word of mouth. So you really want to limit any mistakes, or if you make mistakes, own up to them. People really, I find, respect that. If you've made a mistake, just own up to it and deal with that. But word of mouth is my biggest advertising. I mean, I drive a trailer or pull a trailer around with big logo on the side and everything all day, but so that's one way of advertising, but not everybody can do that or wants to do that. But I just find word of mouth. I have a lot of repeat customers, and those customers get me a lot of new customers. Let's just put it that way. And I think that's one of the best things you can do. But if you can keep it simple, don't try to get bigger than you really are right off the start. don't take on more work than you can do. You know, those are all things that, you know, don't promise somebody you're going to be there in a month and you know it's going to be 2 months till you can get there, sort of thing. So, okay, let's see who else we got. We got Dan Chicoine. I'm not sure how you say that. He's just saying hi. We got William Old School. Hey from Oklahoma. Luke Breeze, can tile be installed on drywall for a backsplash in a bathroom? Absolutely. Yeah, I wouldn't have any problem on a backsplash in the kitchen or the bathroom installing it right onto drywall. And in fact, I would just use mastic. I wouldn't even mess around with thin set. We got Christopher saying hi from Albany. Hey, Christopher. Baby Isaac, hi from Ottawa. Oh, we got a fellow Canadian tuning in, so that's awesome. I'm sure we have lots of Canadians here as well. I see another one. There's Dan. He's from Calgary. Kevin Tillich from Utah. Did I already say your name, or am I recognizing that from other chats we've had? So I'm not sure. Diggs NWT. Love to see the video series on an outdoor kitchen build. No one does DIY like you, Shannon. Well, I appreciate that, Diggs. That would be a good project. I doubt you're going to see that anytime soon for us, but that might be something we consider to do in the future for sure. Outdoor kitchens are definitely a very hot thing right now. So, and I don't have one, so maybe I could do one for myself. Who else we got here? We got Daryl Planko. Whoops, where were you? Ohio. Dwayne from Sespian, Florida. We got EAR, hi from Virginia. Keep on going with your videos. Right on. We plan to do that. We're still putting out video every 2 weeks. That's kind of been our regular schedule. We've thrown in the odd one here and there, or when we had the different vlogs and stuff. So you got kind of bombarded every day with something from us then. But not everybody liked that. The garage vlog. I think they were disappointed, and we kind of expected that. They wanted to see the actual build, the actual nuts and bolts of the build, but I just need that right opportunity for that job to be able to shoot that. You know, that garage build there, if we were to do that on a shoot, that's going to easily double the amount of working time it takes to get that job done, and not every customer's, you know, willing to put up with that. Not that customer wasn't, but it's just it's a commitment from the customer as well. So, Nick, Shannon, do you think it's possible to start a handyman business if you don't have an education in the trades, but are capable and take pride in your work? Yeah, I honestly think so. In my area, I mean, nobody has to have a ticket to open up a construction business here in my area. I mean, some areas, I think, you know, to get the city license and stuff, you may have to show more credentials or whatever. But no, I mean, if you got some skill and you don't overcharge, you know, as somebody who's not in the trades, and especially just starting out, you're probably going to have a little bit of a cut rate to be able to get your foot in the door and first prove yourself. And once that is done, then sure, why not? Christopher Smyrda, I think that's how you say it. How would you install a window in a round grain bin? Okay, so something like that, it would definitely help if you don't have an overly big window, you know, depending on the radius of your bin, I guess. You know, if you've got a 19-foot bin, you know, it's a pretty decent radius, but still after about a 2-foot straight window, it's going to take a little bit more work. But basically, you got to cut that hole out, and I would say use a wooden buck in that hole, like a wooden frame, in order to mount the window and everything into. As far as how to mount it into the bin, you should be able to put some brackets or whatever on the inside where it will be covered up afterwards. So that I've never done it, but that's just off the top of my head what I would say. But the problem is that the bigger window you get on a smaller radius, you've got to build that edges out so far. You know, once you get over a 2x10 or 12 or whatever, I mean, it's just going to look kind of funny. But you maybe want to use smaller windows and maybe more of them to get the light. So, My scroll, there we go. My scroll kind of stopped there, so I had paused it. Wayne Reese, hi Shannon, love your channel. I've learned so much. Big happy face emoji, right on, Wayne. Appreciate that. That's why we're here. I mean, I'm not here to school anybody on how to do anything. I'm showing you how I do things. They aren't always necessarily the way that it's done everywhere, or even meets code everywhere, because codes are all different. But most of these ways are the way that I would do it in my local area, and little tips and tricks on, you know, things I've figured out to speed the process up. And I know I don't know them all. I'm just showing you what I know. And there's always people that remind me in the comments of the videos that they know better. And you know what? Maybe they do. But I'm just showing you my way. So I appreciate that you enjoy the channel. Zero Gloria, hello. What can I do when I see bolts breaking through my ceiling? When you see bolts breaking through your ceiling, I'm assuming you're meaning the screws maybe holding the drywall up. So you're getting dry. They call that screw pop or nail pop. Really, the best thing to do is to take them out. So if you pick away at it a little bit, you'll find the head and figure out if it's a nail or a screw. Remove it completely, and then put, I would add one on each side of that mark, you know, maybe a couple inches away, and then mud it again. So if you just simply tighten that screw up or hit that nail in again, it's just going to work its way back again. But so just pluck out the little dimple, pull out the fastener that's popped, and then put in a couple new ones on each side and remud that area. So Keith Blackie, I just watched your crosscut jig build and I'm considering doing one very similar. That's a great video. It needs more love from the interwebs. Yeah, we had a ton of people watch it though, and I think that's just a lot to do with there's so many more people at home right now, unfortunately, still with the whole COVID thing around the world. So we're getting quite a few more views. I think, I never looked today, but I think we had over 6,000 views yesterday just on that, which is up from our normal of, you know, maybe 3,000 or 4,000 the first day. So but it was an interesting build. It's not something we do a lot here, as all of you regulars know. And it's one of those jigs I've kind of wanted for a while. I used to cut all my vinyl siding with my miter, with my sliding miter saw, and you'll see that in my other videos where I'm doing vinyl siding. But I wanted something that was, you know, a little simpler, I guess, more than anything. That thing worked really well. In fact, we got to do a video showing how to use it now that I've had it out in the field and been testing it and everything. And we actually wore out the first guide that we had, because we realized, my son was helping me on, we had 3 bigger jobs and recently, and we realized that we cut all our gable pieces as well, like the slope on our gables, with that jig, by unscrewing that top guide and putting it on the proper angle and screwing it back on. But it wasn't quite long enough. So we made it work for those couple jobs after, once we realized that, but it meant cutting through the end. And actually just the other day, I made a new longer version of the saw guide that we put on there just for that purpose. So we've got to do a video showing you how to use it. And I'd like to show you the worn out cut through piece. It didn't really wear out. It's just that we had to cut right through it. So it didn't work as good. But now I've remade a new one, and we've got to do a video kind of showing you, you know, really how I use it and just how well it works. But I hope you do make one. And you can make it a lot simpler than that. But I wanted something where I had all my pieces together. I could just pick it up in the shop, throw it in the trailer, and it's ready to go. So glad you liked it, Keith. Mike Green, I'm about to build a deck for the first time this week, thanks to, where did you go, Mike? I made it jump here. Oh boy, I lost you, Mike. Oh, there it is. Thanks to the DCA6 in your videos. I'm not sure what DCA6 stands for, but I'm glad that our videos are going to help you out. Just scrolling down here. I keep pausing the side here so I can try to catch everybody, but it's just not going to be possible. There's Shar. She's waving. She says, hi, Shar. Ben Simmons, you skipped me. Sorry, Ben. I don't know where your thing was back there, but I obviously I missed you. Oh, there's Chaka Gillis. Thanks for the $2 super chat, Chaka. I appreciate that. I think you've stepped up every time for us and made a little donation, so that's awesome. Thank you. Revolver 11 full. Shannon, you're awesome. It's Tyler Chase from Halifax, Nova Scotia. Hi, Tyler. Thanks for the tips and tricks of the trades and all the great building and repair videos. Right on, Tyler. I'm not sure if you're in the trade or just like to work on your own house and help family and friends, but I'm glad that we've been able to help you out. So we got Lorenzo B. When would you decide to replace an entire room subfloor? I guess if it's rotten or really flimsy, you might have to. I don't know if you're talking about the actual plywood initial floor that spans right over the joists, or if you're talking about like the sub flooring that goes over top that, sometimes under carpet or whatever. But basically, I guess it depends what you're putting over it. If it's wore out or really got a lot of squeaks or rot in it or something, then you may have to actually pull it out. So, Mike Green, do you use setting 1, 2, or 3 on your Milwaukee impact driver for driving deck screws? I have the same newer model as you in your deck series. Okay, so that one is actually I've actually got a newer one than that yet, but honestly, I pretty much always am using 3. The only time I really turn the setting down a little bit is if I'm doing, maybe some finer screws, like I'm putting some screws through some metal or something like double-sided tin, just so it doesn't strip them out as easy. It just spins a little bit slower. So yeah, I honestly, whatever you're comfortable with, 2 or 3 is going to work for deck screws for sure. I can't say that name. Jersname, I'm not sure. Got in late, but good day all. So she or he, I can't even tell. They're just checking in. Sorry, I get stumbled into some of these names here, and I just can't get them all. We got John Needham. I would like to install brand new windows in one of my rooms, and I will have to cut the vinyl siding from the outside because it is a brand new install. So you must not have a window at all. We'll also have to cut the drywall. How deep? Oh, that's a different guy. I'm not even sure what your question is. Who can you recommend to vendor to order custom windows from? I can't really, I don't even know where you are or anything, so I can't give you a vendor name. And I'm not even sure really what you're asking for your question, but that might be something to go to the forum and post your question up there, sorry. And we can converse back and forth a little bit more, and I can get some more information. Keith Blackie, I was thinking it would be good to have it to do miters. Oh, you're going back. Yeah, Keith, you were asking about the jig that we just made up. Yeah, we did it on siding, and yeah, you could do it on miters if you had it tuned in right, exactly on 45s or 22s or whatever you're wanting to do. Rob, wet area in Saskatchewan, fence post depth, recommendation and install, concrete. Well, if you're in the gumbo, personally, I like to concrete my posts in. So you're going to want to go down at least 2 feet for a fence post. That will help it to resist, the wind wanting to blow your fence over. If you're really in a really, really wet spot, you might want to go a little deeper just to have some more resistance. But yeah, concrete for sure. When you get your concrete up just above grade level, just pyramid the top off a little bit so water will run away from the post and not just sit there and run down between the concrete and the post and rot your post off. Lorenzo B, so that's back to the subfloor. You're saying yes, it's actually the actual plywood. So yeah, I don't know what's wrong with your situation or your subfloor, but if it's got to be replaced, it's got to be replaced. Maybe you can just replace a piece of it too if you just got one bad spot. So And here's this question going back to the nail pops all over her house. What does this mean? Does it mean the ceiling is not good since it covers a large area? There can be a few things going on. I mean, you could have a water leak on your roof and it's causing the drywall to get wet and sagging down, maybe, popping your nails. It could just be a poor install. It could be your trusses moving. How old's your house? If your house is really old, maybe it's just an issue, you know, that way. If you redo it all, it might be good. It's really hard to say just by the information you've given. Todd where was that, Todd? Todd Van Sickle, how long can foil-faced foam board be exposed to the weather before siding? Foil face, you know, I'm not 100% sure. You're probably best to check the manufacturer's information on that, but I would think a foil face, you know, if you're a couple months or something, you're probably all right, but I wouldn't leave it too long. Foam board tends to, the sun basically kind of deteriorates it or melts it away. So any of the edges that might be exposed could already be damaged, depending how long it's been out. Joseph G, can you drywall around drain pipes in a basement? I'm thinking of painting everything same color to blend in and have easy access. Can you drywall around drain pipes? You know what, I'm not even sure what you're asking. If you're talking about say your sink drain that's coming through the wall or whatever, yeah, you can drywall around that, drywall tight to it or whatever you want to do. Sorry, I'm not sure I'm following you. Again, you might want to come to the forum if I'm not answering correctly or understanding. So we've got David from Montreal here. I love your channel. I'm looking to build a floating deck in my backyard, 10 by 15. Should I use 2 by 6, 2 by 8, or 2 by 10 joists? Floating deck, 10 by 15. Really, your joist size, everything's kind of relatable in a deck build. You kind of need to know your joist size and spacing. That will help you determine how many beams you need. The beams needed is determined by joist size. Like there's a lot of things kind of interrelated there. So for that size deck, I would say if you're going to build it, you know, I'm assuming with a beam under each end, maybe bring the beams in just a foot or so each way. So you're spanning, you're going to be 10 feet wide. You know, you're spanning 8 feet or whatever. 2 by 8s are easily going to span that at 16 inches on center. Yeah, I mean, if you need more information than that, just come to the forum. We have lots of deck questions on the forum, but just post up there and we can help you through that for sure. Lorenzo, so going back to the subfloor question, he says, thanks for fielding my question. And then can the subflooring be replaced without going under the bottom plates of the walls? Not really, because you're best off to stop at a joist before you get to the wall. Because if you cut the plywood right against the wall and the wall happens to be, you know, between the joists, or it really shouldn't be, but if it is, then that's just going to cause some extra pressure on that plywood and you're going to have other issues. So yeah, you really can't change it under the wall. So you need to figure out how close you can get or where you need to start and stop it. So if it's rotten under the wall, then you got bigger issues, and yeah, you might have to pull your wall or open the wall at least so you can get the bottom plate cut out and change the subfloor. Talia Butt, she says, hi, I see your videos. You are an excellent teacher and thank you so much. You're welcome, Talia. You know, I'm getting lots of thanks for the videos and the stuff that we put online. And we do appreciate being thanked, and it's nice to know that it's working for people and they like what I do and my way of teaching, I guess, really. So we're doing pretty good here. We got a few thumbs up. We're at about 32 thumbs up, and we've got around 70 people joining in right now. So I just want to remind you to please click that thumbs up icon up there if you're enjoying what's going on tonight. I know I'm not going to be able to get to everybody's questions over here, and I'm going to miss some for sure. You know, when you got 50 to 100 people tuning in and everybody's posting something, it's hard to catch everything in the amount of time that that we're going to be on here, which we usually try to stick around for about an hour. So we're almost halfway through already. So, but we do appreciate it. It's just kind of one of those ways I like to reach out to everybody and just see how everybody's doing with the pandemic, and answer some questions here live, and just kind of get to know a little bit of our audience and what they're looking for and what they like. At this time, I don't know if he's tuning in or not, but I want to give a shout out to Brendan Brandt. He actually sent me a pretty heartfelt letter a few weeks ago, and we really appreciated that, Brendan. And I hope that you and your family are getting all your renos done up and tuning in, maybe hopefully tonight. I'm not sure. I'm assuming by your letter that you're a subscriber. I think you might have even mentioned that. So you probably did get notified that we're on here live, and if you did, I'm glad you're watching. Let's get back to some questions. Where are we? 47 Carlton. Am I allowed to post a link to some photos so I can ask how to remove tiles on my veranda? On our forum, you absolutely can. The forum's set up so that you can post pictures or diagrams or whatever you want with your questions. And a lot of times we ask for people to post pictures because it really helps us figure out, exactly what you're trying to explain, and gives us a bit of an eye on what's kind of going on. So yeah, 47 Carlton, definitely go to the forum. You'll find it on the web page, and you can post your questions and photos up right there. I just spilled all over myself. Where are we at now? Christian Barrett. Let's see. I would make a good cabinet door to access, and you can drywall over that. Yes, it does need to be accessible. Oh, so you might be picking up on the plumbing drywall question that was going on back there. I just wasn't quite picking up on exactly what that Joseph was asking. Yeah, if it's something that has to be accessible, like a clean out or something, then yeah, you need to have some kind of door or opening or access to be able to get to it. But if it's just straight plumbing pipes that don't need access, then they can be drywalled over. And maybe Christian was understanding your question a little more clearly than I was. So thanks, Christian. Let's see. Let's skip down here a little bit. Ahmad Chakarra. What is the best way to plan for a basement washroom? The rough-in is already there. Well, if the rough-in's already there, then you're pretty much going to have to figure out, and actually this can be pretty difficult sometimes. You stand there looking at those pipes sticking out of the floor, and you figure out which one's for what, but then trying to actually visualize what the plumber or the builder was, hoping to leave room to do can sometimes be kind of difficult. So we've had a few of those questions on the forum actually, and until they post a picture and we can have a look at it and sort of figure a few things out, sometimes it's not that easy. But pretty much if you want to not be opening up your floor and changing that plumbing, you've got to kind of figure out what's going to work for the way the plumbing is coming through the floor, and then almost design your bathroom around that if you can. So usually the plumbers, they did what they were asked to do, and whether it's still relevant or not to what you want to do sometimes is in question, but try to deal with what you have there. Raymond, I'm building a horizontal fence. Is there a benefit to using tongue and groove 8-foot planks from warping or shrinkage for longevity? So you're putting your boards all horizontally, and I'm assuming you're maybe stacking them. Well, you must be stacking them closer together if you're talking about tongue and groove. That is one thing with horizontal fence boards, is they do tend to kind of warp in and out a little bit from each other. Will tongue and groove help? I don't think 100%. I don't think that's really going to help, because if the board goes the other way anyways, it's not going to, it's not going to push up against the other tongue that's on the other board. So you're talking about tongue and groove, not shiplap. Tongue and groove would help, yes. That's a lot of work though, to tongue and groove every board. I was thinking of shiplap, where you just have a notch on each side and they kind of come together. But yes, tongue and groove would help, absolutely. I don't know longevity though. You might have as much issue with water getting in there and sitting in there and rotting it out though. So I don't know. I mean, it definitely helped to keep the board straighter, that's for sure. Mike Shannon, Mike from Green Bay, thanks for your videos. Do you do these Q&As often? Well, as of right now, we've basically been kind of doing them once a month. So what I've been trying to do is kind of the first Sunday of every month, we're trying to do this about the same time. So it's kind of something we've just kind of tried here the last few months, and it's been going pretty smooth. We get lots of people tuning in. Oh, I see the thumbs up are jumping up there, so that's great. Yeah, so it is something we do on a monthly basis to this point, but you know, if the interest falls off, then we may stop them. But for right now, the best way to know about this though, just for everybody's sake to know, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on notifications over on the side, and then a little bell icon will come up. Click on that, and you can change the settings in there so it'll actually notify you when we're going live or when we're posting anything or anything like that. Anytime we post something, it'll come up on there. So it's a good way to just kind of know what's going on and keeping in touch with us. So Deep Post 49, only problem is Home Depot treated lumber is not the best, warped and bowed. So Deep Post. Okay, so your original question before that was, I just built my deck, thanks for the videos on framing. Yeah, honestly, a lot of these big box stores, you know, they have all their lumber inside. You'd think it would be actually a little better, straighter, because it's not getting the weather on it and stuff. But I find that you still got to pick through the big box store stuff, even when it's inside. So it's not always the best, but it's probably no different than anywhere else, really. So Muhammad G, great instructor and videos. Can I use a random orbital sander to do hardwood floor edges instead of an edge sander using the same grits? And does it matter to interchange 36 grits with 40 grits? So yeah, you could use a random orbital. You know, if you don't have an edger available or one that you can rent, the edger is going to do a better job and a little quicker. You're going to want to do more work with your orbital with the coarser grits, just because that's what's going to chew off the wood the quickest. And whether you use 40 or 36 isn't really going to make that much difference. So yeah, so my answer is yes, you can use your orbital. It's just going to be a slower process. Ahaim Chakra, sorry, I may. Wife complains, smell coming from the sink. What can be looked at? Well, you might have a problem with your P-trap. So you might be getting some sewer gases coming back, you know, because the P-trap is maybe not installed correctly, or is something's creating some suction and actually draining too much out of it, so it isn't stopping the sewer gases. It could just be your P-trap is just full of sludge, and it stinks. You know, a lot of times it doesn't make any smell until you drain water down it, and then it kind of lets that smell come back up the drain. So bathroom sinks, I find, can be bad for toothpaste. People don't maybe run the water long enough when they're brushing their teeth, and that toothpaste just seems to sit down in there and really stink. I'm not sure if you're talking about kitchen or bathroom, but try just flushing a lot of water down there to start with. If your P-trap has a drain on the bottom, you can open the drain with a bucket underneath and drain it right out. All else fails, if it's just sludge and stuff in the P-trap, you could, you know, yourself or have a plumber cut off that P-trap and install new plumbing there. But it's hard to say whether it's a sewer gas issue or just an issue with stinky crap in the P-trap. So so we're back to, where was that now? Back to the nail pops here. I bought my house 4 years ago. The house was built in 1968 and it was sold to me by a flipper. Soon after, I started noticing nail pops all over coming down. Yeah, it's hard to say. Honestly, not all flippers are the most skilled people, so they can put a lot of lipstick and paint and whatever else and make a pig look good, but if you wipe that off with the garden hose, you still got a pig underneath. So um, it's just hard to say. They just may have messed up something there, and they've got issues, or maybe there's some excess weight up there. It's hard to say really what's going on with your ceiling. Um, it could be a whole multitude of different things. If it was a recent flip, you wouldn't think you would be having too many problems unless they actually put in new joists or something up there and they're shrinking now and causing the nail pops. But most flippers aren't going to go to that extreme unless there was really a problem. They're just in there to slap some paint on everything and change out the doors and whatever, just spruce it up and turn it over and get on to the next one. So hard to say, really. Sorry about that. Tyler, I'm replacing a UPC faucet with the Regency 4 version. Okay, none of that helps me because I'm not familiar with them. But since I couldn't find UPC, will a 25 mil wrench fit on the lock nuts that snug each side of the faucet in place? I don't know. Try a wrench on there. I couldn't tell you for sure. They measure 0.97 inches. Let's just see in my trusty calculator here what that says. 0.97 inch convert to millimeter is 24.638 millimeters. So a 25 might do it, but it's probably going to be just a smidge big, but try for 25 on it. You might be close. Deep Post 49, can you do more electrical videos? Your main panel video was great. Yeah, that's something else that we should be working on, is a few more electrical videos. We haven't done any for a little while. I'm trying not to really do too much in the panel because that's an area that really the average homeowner really shouldn't be. You're pretty good to get all your rough in and switches and lights and all that kind of stuff, but when you're messing around where the actual power is, most people are best off to have an electrician come in and do that. But yeah, we'll have to look at our list of what we've got and see what we could add to it. So for electrical, good suggestion. Mahmood Hassan, would you prefer metal or wood framing in a house? Well, around here, you're only going to pretty much see wood. The odd time you'll see metal framing, maybe in a basement. Personally, I think wood is just as easy to work with. The only thing is that metal is going to be straighter if you're really having problems finding straight wood, but I prefer to work with wood myself. William Old School, do you have a favorite thin set mortar for cement board? I use a fair bit of Mapei products, but I wouldn't say that I just stick with that. That's the one name that's kind of coming to me right off the top of my head. Ardex, that's another good brand. Yeah, it's as long as you get a decent brand, decent quality, and it's the right, modified or non-modified for what you're doing. Jeremy, hanging 1/4-inch panel board in my garage, liquid nail with 18 gauge brad nail into studs, good enough? Hanging 1/4-inch panel on the walls, yeah, you'll be fine with that. The brad nails will hold it there long enough for the liquid nails to pull it off, or to set up. I mean, the next guy who has to pull that off might be cursing you, but yeah, no, that'll work. That'll do it. I guess I backed up there a little bit. We've got Oliver Orange. First he says, hi Shannon. Hi Oliver. I replaced a vinyl corner on my garage. My wife hit it with the tractor. Oh, don't point fingers there, Oliver. Last week so your wife hit it. Your video on replacing the corners without removing the siding saved me hours of work. Thanks from below the border. Yeah, absolutely. That's just a little trick that I kind of learned. It's just, if you've got to remove all the siding, it's a big job, and that's why that a lot of people never want to replace those corners. But if you use my video and do that little trick that I show there, it'll work most times for most people, and it's quick and easy, as you found out. Sharby should be putting up drywall with nails. Should be putting up drywall with nails. I'm not sure what you're getting at, Shar. You could use nails or screws. I personally use screws. It's just quicker and easier for me. But Robert Johnson, got me some orange mossy substance on my shingles. I heard it may be leaching. Regardless, I'm not leaching. I'm not. Yeah, you lost me, Robert. Oh, Char's saying should not be putting up drywall with nails. Well, it's not that you shouldn't, but screws are definitely going to be better. I don't know if you're going back to those nail pops that we were talking about, and I don't know if they were nails or screws either. So on that ceiling. So Robert's asking, here he is back. He's asking, what's the best way of get rid of leaching on shingles? Well, I don't even know 100% what that is. I'm assuming it's some kind of moss. And you know what? I don't even know, because we really don't have that issue here. It's not wet enough in our area, especially lately. And it finally rained today, but boy, we need some rain. It's been some windy, dusty days here for a month. Armed Hammer says 25 mil wrench ? Dude, use an adjustable wrench. Well, that's true. You could use a crescent wrench. It'll fit whatever you need, but it's all good. Jason Gortez, do I need a vapor barrier over bad insulation if concrete wall behind has 1 inch rigid foam? Yeah, pretty much everywhere are going to still require a vapor barrier. Sometimes if you've got 2 inches of rigid foam, some areas will let you skip the vapor barrier, but 1 inch, that won't be enough. At least in any areas I know of. Deep Post 49, I'm working on my balcony next. I'd like to extend it out from the house some. How much can I have the joist cantilever? Working on my balcony next. So if you're talking balcony and if it's not supported with a beam, then your joists of your balcony need to be sistered into the floor joists into the house. And that's all going to depend on the size of the floor joists and everything. If you're using a beam and posts outside supporting the balcony, like a deck, it depends again on the joist size. If you're 2x8s, then you could, or say 2x8s and bigger, you should be able to cantilever up to 2 feet. If you're under 2x8s, then about a foot max. Christian Barrett, complete series on basement finishing would be excellent. How much space do you leave between the studs and the concrete blocks? So we have a lot of videos on basement, but yeah, we don't have really a series put together, but we have a lot of information from framing and insulating, moisture barriers, vapor barriers, wiring, all that kind of stuff. But as far as the space to leave when you're framing your walls against the concrete wall, excuse me, what I like to do, because I've never found a basement wall yet that is perfectly straight or perfectly plumb, like concrete I'm talking. So I like to leave at least a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch to allow me to put in a straight wood wall and not have problems down the road where, oh, now I can't stand the wall right up plumb because it's hitting on the concrete here or whatever, right? So, if you got, I guess really first look at your concrete walls. You should be able to tell by throwing a level in a few places and pulling a string line across the floor just how straight they are. But regardless, I'd leave at least 1/2 inch. And if you got some real bad spots, you might have to leave more than that, but don't leave too much more than you really need to. James Stonehouse, what would you suggest as a good tool or equipment starter list for the new woodworker home workshop? I would be sharing this with a grade 10 construction class. So good tool equipment starter list for new woodworkers. Well, I guess it's kind of depending what you're gonna do. Are you talking stationary tools or just the basic hand tools? Because You know, hand tools are pretty cheap. It's an easy way to get started. But so we're talking like a handsaw, hammer, nail set, tape measure, obviously, some kind of a square, like a framing square or a speed square. You know, those are kind of the basics. Now you can upgrade from there where, depending on what you're doing, maybe you want a jigsaw, you want a circular saw, most likely. You know, and if your budget really is good, then you probably want some kind of table saw and a miter saw, power miter saw. So those are kind of the basic ideas. I do have I don't remember if that's a video. I think we have a video on some basic tools, but that was more towards like a homeowner sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, it's really hard to say. It kind of depends what you're going to be doing the most. So Tyler Fuchman, so you must be referring back to the moss on the shingles that other gentleman was asking about, and you're saying power wash the shingles. I suppose I've never seen anybody up on the roof with a power washer before, but I suppose you could. Just be careful you don't cause any damage or trip on the hose and fall off the roof. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's a thing. Power washing your roof. Who knows? I don't. Mike Hunt, can I get a shout out to Theo Tollett, I think is how you say that, Theo Tollett. And can you tell him to get off Fortnite? He's 22. Okay, Theo, it's time to put Fortnite to bed and do something more productive tonight. How's that, Mike? Is that what you wanted? Okay. So we're down, we're about 15 minutes left here. I'm not getting too much hate on here, so I must be catching most people's questions. I know I haven't caught everybody. You know, trying to mention the names here as I see them, and I know I have had to kind of skip down the odd one here. A lot of people ask if these live streams are available to watch after the fact, you know, because maybe you've tuned in and you just don't have an hour to sit here and listen to me babble along, and that's completely understandable. But yes, you can absolutely see our live streams on our YouTube channel. We'll leave them posted up there. We haven't taken any of them down yet. We thought we might after a while, but so far we've just left them up there. So yeah, you can go back and watch them and you know, rewatch them or whatever you want to do. But yeah, they are available. So I think I already mentioned we're trying to stick to our video schedule of video every couple of weeks. That kind of works well for us. Luckily, just before this COVID thing kind of all started, we had rattled off a few videos, and we've got a little bit of a buildup because we really haven't had a good chance or a good time to be able to shoot any here since end of March. So you know, we're still good for a while. Hopefully we'll get back at shooting some, but as it stands right now, we're definitely good to keep releasing one every couple of weeks and kind of stick with our schedule. And as the year draws closer to the end, we'll probably have a few extra ones thrown in there too. So I think we're pretty good for content right now, although it's a little bit limited on our subject matter, but it just happens to be what we've kind of got already shot and ready to roll. So let's see, we're getting a bunch of action here again. Keith Blackie, vapor barrier everywhere. What surface is it on? Depends on the climate. Cold climate, it goes on the exterior of insulation. Warm climates, it goes on the inside of insulation. Yeah, that's one thing, Keith. I mean, obviously I'm from Canada. We never would put vapor barrier on the cold side of the insulation. Now, actually, I think you might have said this backwards. Vapor barrier over what surface? So in a cold climate, you want the insulation to go on the warm side of the wall. You're saying on the, yeah. I may just be misinterpreting what you're saying, but just to clarify, depending on your climate, you're going to want vapor barrier on the warm side of your wall if you're in a cold climate. And now you're suggesting that in some areas where it's warm, they'll put the vapor barrier, air barrier on the exterior side of the insulation. That I'm not aware of because it's definitely not that warm here to to have that kind of issue. But I know up here and a lot of the top part of the States, you're going to put your vapor barrier. You're basically going to have your framed wall, insulation in the wall, vapor barrier, drywall. Okay. So vapor barrier on the inside or on the warm side of the insulation when you're in a cold climate. We got Dean Bench just saying hi there. Hi, Dean. Thanks for tuning in. Anup Sahi, I don't know how you say that. I have T111 siding that's rotting and warping in places. What are my choices? Well, you can still buy that type of siding. I don't know if you have siding or the 4x8 sheets of it. If it's rotting, I would guess that you probably have it installed too close to the ground. I think T111 is supposed to be at least 6 to 8 inches, I believe, off of the ground surface or off the vertical surface. So you might be getting some moisture wicking up into the wood, or you might get some rain water or sprinkler water or whatever that's bouncing up and keeping that wood wet and rotting it out. So, but anyways, to answer your question, you can replace it. You can still buy that stuff. It may not be 100% the exact same pattern as what you have now, but check it out. You should be able to still find a similar product. Armanda Hammer. Okay, Shannon, have you ever leveled a pool table? No, absolutely not. I put it on a vinyl plank floor that you taught me to install. No, I've never leveled a pool table. YouTube's your friend. Check it out on there. Chaudhry Adam at House Improvements. Jeffrey Thomas, 2-inch or 1-inch rigid on basement walls. Well, 1 inch, I wouldn't go any less than an inch. Personally, I think if you put less than an inch of foam on, you're pretty much wasting your time and money. So I definitely go 1 inch for sure. If you are allowed to use 2 inches in your area, then I would use 2 inches. Any of those, like 1 inch, 1.5, or 2 inch, we use in my area for sure. So yeah, if you can do 2 inches and you got the room and everything, I would do 2. It's only going to help you. In some areas with 2-inch rigid foam, you're talking basement, yeah. You may be able to skip the air vapor barrier, and if you can't, if you aren't allowed to, then what I would suggest is you use one of the smart barriers that they have now that supposedly will allow the wall to breathe if it needs to, if you get a buildup of moisture in there because of the thick foam on one side and plastic on the other. I haven't done a basement now for a couple of years, but the next one I do, or all the next ones I do, will be one of the smart barriers for sure. Craig, no questions here. Just want to say thanks. Your videos have been a huge help on my reno. You're welcome, Craig. No problem at all. Robert Grizzy. Guys, thing is, people confuse moisture barrier and vapor barrier. They are different things. Moisture barrier on the exterior of the bats, vapor barrier on the interior only in cold climate zones. Yes, you're absolutely right. A lot of people use those two terms, vapor barrier and moisture barrier, interchanged. Like they don't realize that there's actually two different things, partly because you can use the same product to do both, but they are two different things. So in a basement wall in Canada here, where it's cold, you're supposed to have a moisture barrier right against the concrete before you do any insulating or framing or anything. And that is to help direct any moisture that comes through the wall. Like, I'm not talking big leaks or anything, but concrete is porous, so moisture will come through the wall. Or you may get some frost develop on the inside of that concrete wall in the wintertime, and then it melts in the summer. So the moisture barrier is just to direct that moisture from the concrete. It hits that moisture barrier and can slide down to the floor instead of getting right into the wall cavity and into your insulation and your lumber and everything. The vapor barrier is on the other side of the wall, the warm side, like I just said a few minutes ago. And that is to stop humid air from inside the home traveling through the wall cavity, through the drywall, any openings you have in the wall, like plugins and switches and that sort of thing. It stops that warm, moist air from traveling through there, getting into the wall cavity where the studs and insulation are, and then that moisture contacts the cold surface, which would be the moisture barrier or the concrete wall, and it creates it creates vapor. Then when it hits that, it condensates, right? So they do two different things. Well, they really both keep out moisture, but they do it from two different sides. So yeah, you're 100% right, Robert. People do get those two mixed up, and I prefer to use house wrap as my moisture barriers. But anyways, that's a whole other story. I have a video on that, so if you want to see it, check it out. Let's see. Tyler Fochman, can't disassemble. It's in use while trying to install the other side. Okay, so you're going back to I bought a ratcheting 25 mil because it's in an annoying position and the drain plumbing can only be moved so far. Getting it off a turn at a time with adjustable took. Yeah, okay, so you're going back to that sink faucet, and yeah, they're a pain in the butt. Honestly, they're up in a terrible spot. You're trying to lay on your back under the sink, crinking your neck, and yeah, you get your arm up there, then you can't see what you're doing. I totally understand it. Anybody that's worked on a faucet under the sink is definitely knows what you're talking about. You could use a basin wrench, a small crescent wrench. Yeah, you just got to fiddle with it. It just takes time. Oh, and here's a comment right underneath, and he's saying Tyler use a basin wrench. So yeah, he's kind of pointing you in that same direction. Actually, there's a little bit of discussion underneath with a few guys about the basin wrench. So Jeff Armstrong says, thanks for the videos and information. You're welcome, Jeff. Not a problem at all. Thanks for tuning in tonight. We're getting close to wrapping things up here, guys and ladies. We're getting the last few questions in, so let's take a few more. I hope everybody's been staying healthy and good with this whole pandemic thing going on. My household's been fine. All but one of us in the house here is working, so we're in and out of the house all day now, or every day, doing our thing, but still trying to social distance and do all the things they tell us we're supposed to do. So some of the restrictions are being lifted here. I think some more start tomorrow here with some restaurants and that. So life's starting to slowly return to what we used to call somewhat normal. And hopefully it can stay that way. Hopefully we don't have an outbreak here again. So I just hope everybody's staying safe and doing what they can to keep everybody else safe as well. So let's see, a couple more questions. James Stonehouse, how about a video for youth about how to build a doghouse for a large dog? Good way to introduce safe use of tools and construction methods to youth. May encourage them to go into carpentry. You're kind of touching on something that YouTube doesn't, that YouTube really restricts right now, and that is us providing videos for youth. Yeah, I mean, anybody can build a doghouse, so it isn't just a video for youth, but or just a video for introducing youth to the tools and methods and safety and that. It can be a video to introduce any DIYer to that. But you're right, actually a small little build like a doghouse is something that a lot of families could tackle, and maybe use as their gateway into DIYing something else in their house. So it's a good suggestion on the doghouse, and we'll definitely take that into consideration. So Jeff Armstrong, I believe I am now armed and dangerous to tackle some vinyl siding repairs. Thanks again. Yes, Jeff, we have a lot of vinyl siding related videos. There's still a few more I'd like to do. It's one of the things I kind of enjoy doing, vinyl siding. It's pretty quick gratification, pretty quick turnaround in a day. So it's kind of nice to do, and it doesn't weigh so much, so my whole body can kind of take it a little easier. So anyways, Jeff, I'm glad that you've obviously watched our videos and you feel confident in being able to take on projects around your place. So that's great. William Old School, thanks for taking the time. Great chat. See you in the funny pages. All right, William, we'll talk to you later. Christian Barrett, Shannon, what's next for the channel? What's next? Well, like almost everywhere in the world, the COVID has us pinned down a little bit. So like I was saying a few minutes ago, we've definitely got some videos that are already shot. They're ready to upload. They're scheduled to come out every 2 weeks. I don't really want to give away what's coming out, but we definitely have videos. The only people that actually see what's coming out in advance are our patrons. So if you're a patron, or a patron, I should say, on our Patreon account, you will notice that around the beginning of every month, we give you a list of what's going to come out that month. You don't get a preview to it or anything, but you get to see what topics are actually coming out. So if you want to see that, then join Patreon. But yeah, we've got more DIYs, some hardware, that sort of stuff coming out. So where are we at? Dean Bench. I don't think I've mentioned Dean's name yet tonight. I've done a lot of remodeling by just watching your videos. My wife now loves me like we first started dating. All right, that's good. That's good for you, Dean. Good for her. I'm glad that you guys are enjoying what we produce here. Mike R., where in Canada are you based? So I am based out of southern Saskatchewan, Mike. I don't know if you're familiar with that area, but we're out here in the middle of the prairies. So Dion Cross, do you have video on how to build a bar for a man cave? I do not have a bar video. I've got some different cabinet videos, how to build cabinets, how to assemble cabinets, those sorts of things. So those would kind of get you pointed in the right direction. And then some countertop videos. Those would get you some of the basics, but not specifically to a bar at this point. Mohammed, thanks, Shannon. Continue your awesome videos. We will. We plan on being here for a long time yet, I hope. Another deep post. Thanks for your video. Where are we? Thanks for your video. Give me information and confidence to build my deck. Just admitting there's a post there you want to look at. Tyler Forchman, can any amount of tools or knowledge fix the USA? I hope you're just talking improving your houses. Yeah. We've got enough knowledge here for you guys to fix your houses and all over the world. So let's just leave it at that. Susan Simon, I like to learn how to install a deck onto an already built deck. Can you help? How to install a deck? So you're adding a deck on a deck. Not too sure. I'm not following, Susan, exactly what you're asking. If you're going to extend the deck is what I'm thinking you're asking. So maybe you've got a 10 by 10 and you want to make it 10 by 15 or whatever. Since I don't know if that's exactly what you're asking, I'm assuming it is, but I don't know. And we don't have a lot of time left. What I'd suggest, Susan, is that you sign up on the forum. It's free, totally free. Come in there, post your question, and we can discuss that a little further. Perfect. Oh, there you're saying extend. So I am right, but basically you should be able to sister onto the end of the deck and add another beam and some posts. That's the kind of the quick version, but come to the forum and I can help you there for sure. Okay, I think this might be the last one here. eRock 25555. Hey man, I'm about to install a cantilever umbrella. I want to install it directly onto my concrete slab patio. Is this safe if I use the proper drill and screw length? I have no idea what a cantilever umbrella is, man. Sorry. Cantilever umbrella. I don't know if you're talking about like a rollout awning or... Again, sorry. Come to the forum. We can discuss that some more there. I'll take one more just because that one was a bit of a bust. Demarcus Britton, hi. Any video on repair entry door frame, dry rotten on the bottom? No, I actually don't have a video about that. Quick, personally, in most cases, if I've got a rotted door frame, I'll usually replace it. Just pull the frame out and replace it. It's a lot of work to just repair the area, usually, depending on the damage and where it is. So it's almost as easy to just pull the frame out. And if you got the frame out, you might as well put a new frame in. It just depends on the damage, I guess. Okay, everybody. Unfortunately, it's we're getting past the hour here now, and I know we could go on all night, sort of thing, and keep answering questions and all that. But we've got to cut it short, cut it at some point. That's why we're trying to do this on a regular basis, once a month, so that we can get to some of these questions and that. And like I've mentioned a few times tonight, our forum is a great place to go. House Improvements Forum. You can post up your questions. There's a place you can put photos there to help us out too with your question. And there's myself, and we've got some other talented people on there helping out and giving suggestions and chiming in where they can. So use the forum. It's a great free service, and it's a good way that we can kind of chat back and forth and exchange ideas and get you pointed in the right direction when you're having a little trouble. So I appreciate you all watching. Sorry, I get distracted by the scroll there. Yeah, no, I just appreciate everybody tuning in. You know, we had some pretty good numbers tonight, and I think numbers were a little lower than usual, but I was able to get through a lot more questions than usual too. So, you know, that isn't always a bad thing. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and I am going to sign out. Thanks, everybody.